All right, so let me give y'all something psychologically about price that most people don't realize and about numbers. If I showed you the number 1111 and you see that on the billboard, right? You would look at that number 111 and have no emotional reaction towards it whatsoever. Just understand this. You look at that number 111 and have no emotional reaction towards it at all. But if I take that same number and I put a dollar sign on the side of that number, all of a sudden you have an emotional, magnetic reaction to it, whether it's going to repulse you or attract you, or it has no feeling at all. Because what's going to happen is you're going to start thinking about whether you can afford it or not. You start thinking about your economic level in regards to this number. So the dollar sign automatically puts an emotion connected to it. So we don't even realize that we limit ourselves and we automatically say, well, I can't afford. And when you break down language, with the I is ego, the can't is negative. Right? So you already created a negative attraction towards whatever comes after that sentence, and you projecting it out there within self. So this is why that price and this sticker psychology and price psychology is important to understand, because I've learned, I used to go shopping, window shopping can be a great thing where you start allowing yourself to be in ambiance and be in points and places that you can't particularly, you don't have it in your budget right now. I ain't gonna say afford, you don't have it in the budget right now to be able to buy. But to be able to afford something is saying how valuable my mind is. Because what the hell is $1,000? What's $2,000? What's $10,000? Once you get it once, you are now tapped into that frequency and you can get it again. But there's a difference between price and value. And this is where most people get confused. Because if you knew that there was a gold nugget where, or let's say if I was, let me show y'all my kilo. So if I told you right now, bro, if I told you right now, I say, listen, I'm selling this. And let's say this person that say they can't afford it. If I say, listen, I'm selling this for $250 right now. Everybody in here will figure out a way to buy this. Every single person will figure out a way to get $250. That's the power of the mind, because we understand the value of this. You're going to be like, well, damn, this a kilo. This right here. I'm going to figure it out. You understand me? There's no way that you not go figure out how to flip that. You're going to get it from a friend. You're going to get it from, you're going to sell something. You understand me? You go hustle to get that done. Now, because you don't understand the value of knowledge, you don't understand that the knowledge is worth more than this kilo. Or the knowledge will give you the ability to buy this kilo over and over years as it progresses. Because we think short term instead of long term. But knowledge is gold. It has exponential value. You learn something once and you have it for the rest of your life. Knowledge is one of the most valuable things for that particular reason. So once you learn how to value knowledge, you stop looking at this dollar, which has no value, only backed by debt and bonds, and you would happily exchange and trade it for something more valuable, which is an education, because it comes with skill sets that allow you to buy your assets. See, that was the flip that I had in my mind. When I understood that law of value, when I understood these universal laws, it changed the way I interacted with reality. I interacted with money. I interacted with prices. I interacted with things that person tell me I couldn't afford. Let me tell you something that OG told me before. He said, listen, the reason I go buy expensive things and I live an expensive lifestyle is so that I can afford one. I said, wait a minute, how does that make sense? Well, he said, listen, I make a lot of money. He said, but I gotta get on the boats. I got to live an expensive lifestyle, so it keeps my ambition expensive. So now I know that in order for me to continue to afford these things, I have to work. I have to continue to make more things. I can't be content. I have to have me a driver. I have to have me a yacht. I have to buy jewelry and expensive clothes. Because he knew that as long as he created a lifestyle, he had to maintain that lifestyle with his skills. And he wanted to be able to consistently afford these things. But he knew that if he started budgeting, then it would lower his ambitions. It would lower, right, his necessity to be ambitious and continue to make more. So he said, no, I can't get all the money and then just save it. I got to spend the money, because if I know it's going out, I know I have to have more money coming in than going out in order to maintain the lifestyle that I love and to be able to afford the luxuries that I love. And that was a flip in my mind as well. I said, damn. Because I remember seeing people, they rent out cars and drivers, and I'd be like, man, I'm thinking about my budget. Like, man, I probably could afford this for 5 days, but it's a little expensive. Then I tried it for myself. I said, wait a minute, let me get a driver. And then I was able to work while the driver was driving. And I'm able to create my content. I'm able to move around and be free, and I'm able to have more luxurious thoughts. I'm able to think more creative and luxurious spacious because my mind is calm. It's almost like meditation. When you do transcendental meditation, it allows you to go into the deep subconscious of your brain. Your mind is surrounded by calmness. That's what wealth does. That's what luxury does. You go into a place where they serving you in these luxury clothing stores, and they giving you champagne and telling you to relax, and you sitting on these luscious couches and you just chill. Your brain is in a zen. You have different thoughts. You understand me? So now you can think in a creative place because your brain is not wired with all of the negativity. It's not compiled with all of the thoughts of the day. And in that space, that safe space within self, that calm, relaxed rest space, that's when your brain is operating at optimal capacity. So I learned that I had to consistently keep myself surrounded by things that I love, around space that I love, around wealth that I love, luxury that I love, and create a certain lifestyle that forces me to maintain it and do more. Because every time I got something I thought I couldn't afford, I then learned a skill set that gave me the ability to afford it. I remember I was staying in an apartment. I'm like, damn, this apartment costs how many thousand? Thinking about the money I got, then my hustle matched my living. I was able to afford that, no problem after that. But when I was at a place, $800, I could have barely afford it. Because I knew that I didn't have to do much to afford it, so I didn't do much to afford it. But when I knew I had a higher level, damn, this place costs how much? That means I need to make 3-4 times that in order to be able to afford it. I don't want to make as much. I got to make 3-4-5 times this in order to be able to afford it. So then my mind went towards, all right, this is the goal. This is the ambitions that I need to do. This is the type of projects that I need to set out on. And then that changed it for me. And then my brain went to a frequency higher than my standard of living. So I had the ability to have abundance. And you can't afford things by matching the level of what the cost is. You have to be able to have more. So when you buy things and you invest in things, you understand me? You still have so much more left over. That's the abundance. I was explaining this idea to my younger brothers. I said, if I give you $1 and you're a good-hearted person, and somebody else right there, they like, man, I need $1. It's a homeless person sitting there. They like, man, I need $1. And you give that $1 away because in you, there's this narcissism about being positive that we feel like we better than other people because we do good or we're good people, right? And you got to be careful about this type of narcissism because these are like the positive narcissists that make themselves think that they're better than everybody else. So you get $1, then you give away $1, then you got nothing. And these people feel good about not having nothing because they feel better than everybody else who has something because they look at everybody else as gluttonous and greedy, right? Not realizing that they robbing themselves of the opportunity to do more. Because instead they say, listen, bro, I ain't got it to give to you right now. But then let's say that person waits to be like, I told my younger brothers, I said, listen, if you got $1, don't spend $1. You don't have no money. If you got $1, you don't have any money. Nah, that's not when you spend it. Whatever you want to spend, have 100 times more then. So I say when you get $100, then you can spend that dollar on whatever you want to. Then you can spend $10. That's different. But I give you some money. Don't automatically go, let me see where I can spend. You putting yourself back into the position you was in at first. Wait till you get this one, then you get 100 more. So now what you trying to spend at this level of income, you can afford. So now they're only spending 1 to 10% of their income at any point in time. So that other 90% is where they have opportunities for economic growth and investments. But the poor person thinks about spending soon as they get it. They think about plans for all the money that they get. I was just like that. Oh, I got this money coming in. I'm going to spend it on this. I was broke before the money came in. I done spent it all. So instead, I started working with the mindset of abundance. Because people go, the poor person goes for balance when we talking about money. And in money, balance ain't the key. In money, abundance is the key. Because in money, if your bank account is at 0, it's balanced. If your bank account is at 0, it's balanced. But that means that if you spend $1, it's in the negative. You spend $1, it's in the positive. I never wanted my energy or my bank account to be balanced. I want it to be abundance. So whatever I spend, I don't feel it because it's only 1 to 10% of my income. Really 1 to 5% at any given time. If you can't afford it 3 to 5 times over, don't spend it. It ain't yours. If somebody asks you to go to a club, you got to ask yourself, first of all, look at your budget like this. Go look at your rent, how much your rent costs, and how much your bills. Add those up into totality. Then go look at your income that you have in the bank account right now, right? Any other assets that you have that you can leverage. And ask yourself, how much time can you afford? Ask yourself, so let's say you paying $3,000 a month and you got $3,000 in the bank account. You can only afford 1 month of your lifestyle. That's all you got is 1 month. That ain't enough. You got 6,000, you got 2 months. 9,000, you got 3 months. 12,000, you got 4 months. 15,000, 5 months. And so on and so on. That's how much you can afford. That's how much life right now you can afford at any given time. If everything just stopped, you can afford another 5 months of maintaining your lifestyle until you homeless on the streets. If everything just stopped and all the water just cut off. So no, I say, okay, well, I want to, how many years of wealth you want to have? So let's say if I got that 3,000, I want to have 300,000 in the bank. I want to be able to afford 10 years of this. If everything just cut off. And that's not even adding into traveling and entertainment and things of that nature. So you have to look at what your current net worth is. You understand me? Look at your current bills and make a plan 10 years out for that. And see, the beauty of making a 10-year plan, and this is what a lot of people don't do when they don't have money, is they don't plan to have money. I'm going to say that again. The thing that a lot of people don't do when they don't have money is they don't plan to have money. They plan to not have money. So all their plans include not having money. No, I create a plan where, well, in the future, I even plan for things that I want to afford, the things that I want to do. They're like, you got a plan based on imagination. So I want to take this trip. How much this trip costs? I remember I broke this down to my brothers before. They told me that they wanted to go somewhere. I broke down the cost that it was associated with it. You understand me? They said they wanted to go to Egypt or something. I showed them the Egypt ticket, how much that cost, how much they was making, the time frame in which they could afford it. And then they realized, like, damn, in 3 months I could afford to go to Egypt. But they was thinking 3 years. Because they never break down and do the mathematics, never do the calculations. When you do the simple calculations on your life, it adds up into that point of trajectory. And the point of having this vision is, when you do that, the power that happens is every single thing that you do will be done so that you reach this vision in mind. every conversation you have. You understand me? Every plan you make, every course you take, everything that you learn, everything that you listen to, is so that you can now grow into the person that can reach this vision and this frequency. Because there's an arithmetic of success. And once you are in that rhythm of success, you're going to reach it. Talk to me, man. Talk to me. So the erasing the poverty-based mindset is not easy, because we were taught to be poor and to think poor and to do poor. And so we have to think about, damn, the habits that I have are a poor man's habits and a poor man's language. It's a poor man's education. So that if I look at the paradigm that I live in, Bob Proctor died yesterday. He used to break this down coldly. And we talk about paradigms. Look at everything that you have right now. This is what your current habits can afford. This is what the totality of the algorithm of your thoughts, your habits, your language, your movements, your mind, this is what it currently has produced. Out of all the years that you lived in your life, this is the bank account, the relationships, the level of health and fitness, right? The housing. This is what it currently can afford. So what do you need to do? You need to break out of those habits, break into a different level of knowledge and information and learning to take yourself and put yourself on a different frequency. And the moment that you start to do that, then you have a greater ability to project and produce another type of life. So you can start designing the life you want. You understand me? So I remember being, and I stayed in this, it wasn't even a house, it was the back of the house. Even though they got the little outhouse in the back, I was renting it out. I bought this little bed in the back. I'm in this lowly dim light room. You understand me? And that's where I was hustling. That was my darkness for me, man. I'm hustling because I had a roommate at the time. Roommate had more money than me. But I knew I was smarter. I knew I was more capable. So I had to learn everything. And every time I found myself in an environment with people that was making more than me, I made it my mission to make as much or more. So I'm in there and I'm thinking like, all right, I got to create this plan in order for me to be able to live the type of life that I want to afford based on what I know my potential is. So I never made goals, right, to the point of where I want to achieve. I made the goal bigger. So if I want 100,000, I got to make my goal 1 million. So even if I don't hit the 1 million, I'm still, if I land at 100, I'm okay. But if I make the goal 1 million, I'm going to do more than what is necessary in order to reach my goal. But never make your goal your actual goal. You have to go more than that goal. You understand me? That's the game. You have to change the way you go about doing things for everything that you do. And too many people go for their actual goal. Not even when it comes to people in relationships. Don't go for that person you got. Go for somebody greater. So even if they ain't got everything, well, they still a beautiful person to be with. Always go for more. And then so what I started to do, I had to decide to ask myself, like, all right, I want to have $100,000 a month. But am I a $100,000 person? And everybody know they invaluable and things of that nature. But I had to think about it. I said, am I that type of person that can produce that? Because sometimes we not the actual person yet that can produce our goals. So I said, okay, what's keeping me from doing this tomorrow? Because one thing that you want to do is that you have to go for, like, set a 5-year goal, but go for it in 3 to 5 months. Act with a sense of urgency. So I asked myself, I say, man, am I that type of person that can complete my goal? And I had to ask myself, well, currently, no, because I only know how to make this amount of money per month. So how do I develop myself into that person that can actually complete this goal? I knew education was the most vital point of this. That I knew that if I learned new things, because I realized that the gap in between, my wealth gap is my education. and my execution. Those are my 2 E's for my wealth gap. So it's where I want to be and it's where I'm at. And the only thing that's stopping it is what I don't know. Because if I knew exactly how to get there right now, I would go. Because I'm not lazy. So I knew that if I got the knowledge, I'm going to get there. So I knew I needed to give myself access. I said, if I give myself access, you understand me, then I can get there. So I said, okay, what don't I know in order for me to get there? So I started learning. First, I had to put my mindset together. That's one thing you get in Infinite Wealth Strategies. We teach you, we do a mindset audit. You got to go through the mindset audit. So I started putting my mind together, the type of mind that I wanted. I wanted to be more focused, more disciplined. I wanted to learn how to learn better. I wanted to retain more information. So I started getting my mind to become bulletproof. Then it started forcing me to change my habits. All right? And I get on engrams. Engrams is another one, bro. You dropped the key on them. So I had to force myself to start changing my habits, so I created a routine, because routines put you in motion and put you in a rhythm. And once you get into a rhythm of success, then you start to climb. What you do frequently becomes your frequency. You know what I'm talking about? So I got into a rhythm of success, right? I said, I got to wake up every day. And I wrote this in my book. I got to take a cold shower, right? Because I knew it was a programming me with an incantation. So I'm going to take this cold shower. I'm going to brush my teeth with the opposite hand. Because I knew it was rewiring my brain every time I did that to have new neural connections, forcing me to strengthen new neurons in my brain by doing something different, right? I didn't want to wake up like a zombie doing the same thing over and over, because those habits had only allowed me to afford one type of life. And I wanted to afford a new life, so I had to become a new person. I had to obtain new energy. $1 million keys is different than $1 billion keys, to $100,000 keys, and $10,000 keys. So I said, all right, I get into these new habits. I got to wake up and I got to do my push-ups every day. I got to get my brain working, get it moving. You understand me? I started studying myself and my own self-development. What's happening at this age that I'm at? How is my brain working? You understand me? So when I start studying my brain, then I understand that, oh, okay, I'm 20, 25 at this time, I'm 21 at this time, and my brain works this way. So this is why it may be harder for me to learn this or do this, or I'm more compelled to be like this. I studied the brain. So now I'm literally going in there, redesigning and re-engineering myself to be the type of person that is successful in the capacity that I have envisioned. Because some people, we so lazy, we think we just write it down like a law of attraction. We seen that little cute thing in the law of attraction, we just go write it down. I don't need all the other law of work and law of discipline and law of focus. Nah, I really study knowledge itself. I had to change my habits. I went vegetarian. I went vegan. I'm not a full vegan. I'm going to keep you 101 on that one. You know what I'm talking about? But I'm healthy. But I had to cut out meat. I cut out the meat because it was associated with my discipline. So I cut that out. And I had more control over myself. I was meditating on the regular, working out on the regular. You understand me? Saying no to more things. And as I started to change those things, I started to see more frequency of success within my life. I said, damn, my brother Derek Grace came to me one day, man, and we was talking, we was chopping it up, traveling, whatever. And he was showing me how much he was making. And at the time, he wasn't making nowhere near what he's making now, right? But I think he was doing like 500 a day or something like that. And now, you know what I'm saying? And maybe it was 3,000 a day. I don't remember. Maybe it was 500 a day. And I remember like thinking to myself, like, damn, man, my little business, little thing doing like a couple $100 a day. It had to be like $3,000 a day, maybe. I want to say maybe around 300 or 1,300. It was something of that nature, right? But I remember looking at his goal, and I made that one mine. Because the moment he showed me his numbers, and he showed me it was real, it was a Shopify store. I'm looking at my Shopify store. I had to do the calculations. How much do I need to make on a daily basis to get to this goal? How much do I need to sell? Everything just comes down to simple math. Once you do the math, you got the formula, then you work the problem, right? And then the solution is the reality. So I said, damn. Because anytime somebody showed me something is possible, you didn't get keys to keys. And this is why a lot of people don't like showing me stuff, because they know I'm going to run with it. Listen, I got a lot of peers. They don't want to show me certain game. They don't want to show. I'm not gonna show you this stock game, this crypto game, this NFT game, this thing, because I know you gonna run with it, and it's gonna make you more valuable, and it's gonna make it harder for me to catch up. I've always had that thing where men just get jealous because I got an energy about myself. I got that it factor. I get it. So I've settled with that. That people don't want to show me certain things because they don't want to see me exceed beyond where I'm at, because they're going to feel like it's going to be even more impossible to catch up. I settle with that. So instead, I observe and I study. And for those who ain't afraid to give me access, shout out to y'all. My brother Derek Grace. Y'all, listen, say what you want about my brother Derek Grace, but he ain't a brother that's afraid to give you access. He'll show you the game. You understand me? And we didn't share so much game in back and forth between each other. We didn't help progress each other. So it's certain relationships in life that I value, because I learn from certain people, and we learn from each other, and we share it, and that's the way it's supposed to work. Give each other access. So anyway, I looked at that goal, and I made that goal mine. And I said, damn, I want that. But what do I got to do to get it? And at the time, it seemed far from me. You know what's the interesting thing is that because the language makes us project things far into the future, because we think language in a forward context. So we think the future is forward. We think the past is backwards, right? So also when we think about things that we can't do, we think that it's far in the future before we can have it. So it creates a distance, because we think about time as distance. That this time is so far that it's a distance, but you got to understand that every language ain't programmed like that. That's why I say every level of language comes with a new consciousness. Listen, man, y'all talk about podcasts. My lives is better than anybody podcast in the world, man. Don't play with me anyway. That's why they call me the greatest thought leader. Language is distance. In our mind, because we speak English, it's a present tense language that has direction when it comes to the language. So we think about it in distance. So when the moment we look at a goal that seems far out, we distance ourselves from it. Like, damn, he said he made $1,000 a day.